Bronx, New York. Salute. I've been in the music industry roughly about 9 years on a serious tip. Before that, I'd say like since 2001, I was dipping and dabbing in music, having fun and stuff like that with my friends, and then finally got serious. Like I said, around 2009, so roughly for like last 9 years or so. Me as an artist, I would say that I'm a songwriter first, singer, then a lyricist. They basically, I just love songwriting, overall. Even though the first thing I've ever done as an artist, period, anything musically was singing. Like that's what I grew up on. I grew up in a household full of music and listening to songs and some big time singers, so that's who I am as an artist. But that has changed because my songwriting has become like my new passion. So songwriter, singer, lyricist. My music is realistic accounts of what's happened through my life and also people around me, because that's how I generate my songs and my topics and everything like that. My music is very relevant to today because everybody goes through happiness, everybody goes through love, everybody goes through heartache, everybody goes through loss, everybody goes through those times where it's like you feel good and those times where it's like I'm not really confident in it. Everything is just an account of how I feel or how I perceive another person's situation, because I'm very good at stepping outside of myself and analyzing the things that I see, I hear, and I digest it in through my songs is how I put it back out. Instrument, I used to be the man on the piano, but I stopped playing it for a little bit and kind of backed up off of it. I can still do keys because I do vocal training and stuff like that, and then I also teach people as well vocally. So yeah, that's the extent of my instrument. Yes, I do sing, and yes, I do perform. I love performing. I love hitting the stage and getting a vibe off of the other people that are looking at me and watching me perform. And it definitely there's no bigger rush for me, than being on the stage, and seeing people's reactions to the songs, and it takes a lot to generate, the right playlist for the right venue, for the right vibe. It's a lot that goes into it, and I like that, because it's not just like something you just, I'm just gonna go on the stage and I'm just gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and they're gonna love it. No, you don't get received the same way all the time. So that's why it's good to have a different playlist and to do your research on exactly what you're walking into, because you want to be able to satisfy the audience as best as possible, and you can't do that without performing. So I love performing. Honestly, I do want a music career because music is my life. Music has been my life since I was a child. So I kind of don't know anything else but music. And I literally have become a student of music, like I said, from a youngin', because my mom basically raised me and my sister on music. So I can't see myself doing anything else but that. At this point, I've tried to move on, but it just doesn't work out. I seem to come back to music. I've had so many mishaps where it's like people are like, well, how do you keep doing it? And it's just a passion. I love it. I live it. I breathe it. I eat it. I study it. Like it's in me. It's just ingrained at this point. So why fight it? My inspiration as an artist and is also my favorite artist as well. I really drew a lot of inspiration from Neo, and why? Because I have researched and watched his career and what he's done to where he's at now, and seriously, like that's how I see myself going in that type of direction, where it's like I'm ghostwriting for a lot of people, and writing my material to basically try to launch myself into that driver's seat, especially after, a couple of years of just, laying back and being in the cut. And then, if I get the chance to step out and do a couple of things on my own, then why not? But definitely like the songwriting side of it and the songwriting side of him is what really draws me into him very, very much so, because I definitely like the songs that he writes and how he formulates his songs, and he just has a good vibe to him, So definitely, I draw my inspiration a lot from Neo, and he is my favorite artist. How I want a fan to feel when they listen to my music is like that. Yo, you heard what he said? Yo, I can relate to that. I want that person to be able to relate to the music because, like I said, it's not like I'm writing anything extraordinary. I'm writing about everyday things, with and everyday emotions. So if I can at least get one person to say, "Dag, I know exactly what he's talking about. I've been to that doorstep. I've walked those shoes. I feel like I won." So I want my fans to be able to like relate to me on the basis that it's like, yo, he is a real person. Like he knows what he's talking about, and I know that I can relate to him because we've been through something. So if I can make that connection, that's golden to me. My favorite song I would have to say is Michael Jackson's Butterflies. Why? Because the elements and everything, the way the flow of the song, the notes that he's using, the breakdowns. Like I said, I'm a songwriter at heart, so it's not just I'm just listening to the melody and the beat. Like I'm actually listening to the words, how he's formulating the lines and the verses and everything. To me, that's like a complete song, And Michael Jackson, legend, And I grew up on Michael Jackson. I grew up on Stevie Wonder, but it's just something about that song is just so beautiful. It's undeniable, and that's another thing I want. I want my music to be undeniable. Like you have to like it, but Michael Jackson Butterflies is so fly, so smooth, So that's just what it is. I fell in love with music when I was a child. It's just undeniable. Like it's not a hobby. It's not something that is like, oh, I'm just gonna hit the studio because it's cool. No. This is for real for me. It's music or nothing, And that happened when I was a child because I grew up in a household with my mom, my sister, and I've listened to jazz. I've listened to rock. R&B, neo soul. I've listened to a lot, gospel. There was nothing that my mom didn't play for me and my sister, and ever since then, it just came to a point where I was imitating the artists that I was listening to, and that's how I started singing in the first place. Was from listening to Stevie Wonder and Anita Baker, Al Jarreau, BB and CC Winans. The list goes on. But it happened from a child, from when I could start walking, dancing, and talking. I've literally been drenched in music. My first performance, that's like a big question. That's like kind of loaded because I have a first performance in a group setting or a choir setting. I have a first performance as like a solo. I have a first performance as a duet. That's like a loaded question. But if we were talking as far as like solo, just by myself, I would have to say it was a high school talent show that I did, where it was like I did a solo act and I had a duet act, and I wind up actually winning first and second place, for those for that talent show. So I can say that that was my first solo performance. Favorite performance, I would have to say with my group I Am One of a Kind, where we rocked the stage at Webster Hall and took first place to be the New York Coast to Coast mixtape champions. So that was pretty dope. My favorite song that I've written thus far, I would have to say, is Patient Love. Now the basis behind the song is kind of like weird. So the backstory is I wind up meeting Maxwell in the last few years and became pretty close friends with him. and really cool guy. And basically, I heard a beat, and in mind, Maxwell popped into my head while I was writing the song, and I had all intentions of trying to get a placement with him, and the song actually wind up being so good in the ears of the audience that I let hear. It was like, do I let it go? Do I keep it? So I did present it to him. He said it was dope. And at that particular time, he had closed out on his album, so it was like a little too late to even try to propose it at this point. But I truly enjoy performing that song. It's a really really good song, and I kind of like patted myself on the back because it's like, yeah, Charles, you pretty much did your thing on this one. So I gotta say, Patient Love is one of my favorite songs. Out of all the recording software I've used over the last few years, I would have to say Pro Tools is my go-to at this point. I've used Cubase, I've done the GarageBand, I've done pretty much everything that was like across the board. But Pro Tools is my go-to, or even the majority of the studio that I go to, they most of the time use Pro Tools as well. So, but when I was recording myself, I use Pro Tools. There's a multitude of artists I would like to work with. Whatever opportunity comes about is how I deal with my music. If anybody wants to collab, I'm always open to collab. It has nothing to do with star power and all that kind of stuff. If it put it this way, my only requirement is that you give it your all and you give me your best. That's all I require. As long as the song comes out dope and everybody likes it, I'm all for it. So that's really what it boils down to for me. If it came down to like, if I had to put a name on it, it would have to be Neo. Singing wise, it would have to be Neo. And if it was like a rapper I wanted to work with, I would definitely want to hit the studio with Jay, because just it's Jay-Z. And who wouldn't want to be on a track with Jay? So those would be my two. My favorite quote about life: there are no mistakes. Honestly, I don't believe in mistakes. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in luck. I believe that things happen for a reason, and things happen a certain way because it's supposed to happen that way. So at the end of the day, just do what you're supposed to do, and as long as you're doing it out the goodness of your heart, you should never have to look back and say, oh man, I wish I could have did it differently. And even if you do, it was supposed to happen that way. Like I said, there is no mistakes in life. Things happen the way it's supposed to happen, because either you have to learn something, or you have to grow for something, or you have to relearn something, or you have to reteach yourself something. Every situation in life is a learning experience, and you're never going to stop learning until your last breath. So there are no mistakes in life. On the horizon, as far as my next upcoming projects, I have a lot on my plate because, well, working with Touch Music Group and banging out, some albums and stuff for them. I have some stuff that I'm working with my group. I have some stuff that I'm just working on just on my own on a songwriting tip to try to get placements and collabing with other people and getting some features. So it's a lot of music that's going to be pumped out by me in the next few months to the continuously over the next few years. So watch out for that. My 5-year plan as an artist is definitely to create a bigger catalog for myself, and also to do more collaborations so I can get as much music as I can in the holster. And then from there, just keep pumping out stuff for my audience to hear, so they can, stay engaged and know that I'm just not wasting time, that I'm actually grinding and putting in work. So I definitely over the next 5 years, is going to be a lot of songwriting, a lot of songs being pushed out, and a lot of different stages getting hit, whether it's in the country or out of the country. So I'm gonna be moving. Put it that way. That's my 5 year plan, to be moving. So by the time the next 5 years come, I'll just be a household name, and everybody's gonna be like, yeah, I need some of that CP music in my headphones. Like that's where I want to be at the end of my 5 year plan. I'm working with Touch Records, and how I feel about them is that I honestly feel that Touch Records, they actually care about the artist, for one, and they want to know for sure like what you want out of it, because at the end of the day they don't want to waste your time and they don't want to waste their time, and I understand it. And it's that's a great feeling to know that they actually want to know what you want to gain, because a lot of times you'll have labels that will be like, oh, you're gonna do it this way, and that's it, and it's gonna change. They're just gonna change you. They're gonna take everything away from you, and you're not gonna be a reflection of yourself. At the end of the day, you're not even gonna be able to recognize yourself. Well, we're here. They're not asking me to change myself. They're asking me to do what I want to do, which is collab with people, make good music, and just get my name out there. Period. Like that's what working with them really is all about. It's honestly, they're giving me the tools and the opportunity to be able to get my name out there and really like live my dream, which is to move from working a 9 to 5 and a 5 to 9 and doing music in between, to actually living off of my music and being able to do what I love and wake up every morning where I can still have time for real life, but also still make money and support myself and my family. So I want to thank Touch Music Group for this opportunity and definitely giving me a chance to be able to possibly live up my dream. Because at this point, without them, it probably would be another 5 to 10 years before I even was able to do anything that I want to do on my own time. So hopefully by the end of our relationship, and we're still building in the relationship. So I'm hoping at the peak that I'm able to bring much love and light into this label, and they're able to reciprocate and do the same. So thank you, Touch Music Group.